Dr. Jeffrey Bone. Welcome. It's very nice to meet you.
Well, thank you very much for having me today. I look forward to the conversation.
Yeah, me as well. We met via PodMatch, a matching service that matches hosts and guests for podcasting and other reasons why people would like to guest on podcasts.
Yes,
How did you find out about PodMatch?
I think Google. It may have been Google or it could have been Reddit. Just kind of curious because I have my own podcast, but it's all solo episodes. I'm just talking to myself. And I thought, you know what? It'd be kind of fun to talk to other people. And I was a little isolated, which is in line with the book that we may be discussing here. And I was looking to become more connected to a larger community.
Well, I'm very grateful that you did. I've listened in to one of your podcasts, and that is for just listeners here that don't know. Your podcast is called To the Bone,
Yes,
and it can be found. I found it through a YouTube, but it can be found through Spotify and Apple as well. And you have your own website for that podcast.
I do have my own website. I don't really tend to it that much. It's just it's a wild garden that grows on its own. The website that's a little bit more active that I'm on, in terms of my personal website, is just drbone.live. But I do have a website because that's what we're told that we're supposed to do. And so early on, in the podcasting world, you kind of listen to the people, but then through that journey, you have to find the thing that feels most authentic to you. And it's just like, you know what? That's not where I derive pleasure, meaning, or purpose for myself personally. Instead, it's like I have that website just to alert people, but the real joy is actually just either being on somebody's podcast or uh, doing my own podcast.
Okay, so is there a link from your main website to the website for the podcast, or no? You just have it separate.
There should be. And yes, but if you just go to Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, To the Bone Conversations on Pain, Illness, and Meaning, and you'll be able to find the podcast.
Yeah, the listeners will also be able to find everything in show notes here. So thank you very much. Now, do you prefer if I go by Dr. Bum,
I prefer
Jeffrey?
Jeff.
Okay, Jeff.
Just Jeff.
All
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's JL.
Yes.
Jeff. Wonderful. Okay.
JL and Jeff. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a simple creature. I haven't been knighted or anything. So, and I just, yes, on some of my works, I have the doctor in there, but day to day, I don't think of myself in my internal monologue inside my brain. Oh, doctor this, doctor that. No, no, no. It's just Jeff.
Well, Jeff is a mental health specialist with health challenges of his own. Would you like to share some of that?
Yes, and about 10 years ago, I developed chronic inflammatory response syndrome from black mold in my HVAC. And to make it more fun for myself, I didn't stop there because after I treated the mold, I still wasn't feeling very well. And it turned out that the chronic inflammatory response syndrome triggered a primary immune disorder called common variable immune deficiency. So my body doesn't make immunoglobulins, which I have to fuse in once a week.
So is that like I'm really sorry for all of that, by the way. I mean, it doesn't life has enough challenges, never mind to add this to it, as
Yes.
you know and explain very well in a lot of your writings. And you have a lot of compassion for you. That comes across very well in all of your writing. But do you have to do that through what, blood transfusion, or do you have to, how does it work? A needle?
There's two needles and I put it into the sides. I put it into the fat on the side. I could put it near my belly button, but I just kind of choose to use my love handles. And I put it right in two needles. Is again nothing that I expected to grow up in, and I didn't think this would be my new way of life. But here we are. I weekly have to put needles into my body, and it takes about an hour or so to infuse the immunoglobulins.
Every week. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
I want to, just give, this is just to give people a little bit of a sense of who you are, and we haven't met yet, and I'm getting to know you also, and I really like doing that. I really like,
Yes.
I'd like to be curious. I want to get to know people. Uh, you know, you've said it in your writings. I haven't read all of them, but I've managed to get through a bit. That genuine connection is lacking very much, and I believe that is true to my core.
Yes.
And so to have whatever genuine connection we can develop here in a very short period of time, not meeting in person, and for
Sure.
developing for an audience, is, I'm hopeful.
Excellent.
You have recently published a book. I understand this is this year's publishing and not even probably 2 weeks old yet. The Restless Human Meaning
Yes.
in a Fractured World. And I believe you've also developed a coaching program around this.
There is a coaching program around it, but it's very loose because the book itself is not a protocol. It's not a self help book. It doesn't give you the steps for, okay, here's the better life. It's much more of an awareness. It's much more of slowing it down. It's much more of a modern day Walden of Thoreau, of being able to see why possibly you feel like you're stuck on the hamster wheel of modernity, and you feel like you're personally failing when in fact it's really that you're living as a natural human being.
Everyone could do themselves a favor and read this. And the reason I say that is I'm a very, very firm believer in social health. I'm not sure where you fit in your beliefs of, if fit is even a good word, of health and what the pillars of health are. But we have society likes to look at mental health, financial health, spiritual health, and physical health. I think one that lacks, and there's some research out there that I believe points to the fact that social health actually influences all of them and is
Oh, yes.
more important, if not the most important, health pillar.
Absolutely. Loneliness is just as dangerous, just in terms of stats, as just being a regular smoker in terms of longevity. You tend not to live as long. There was a large study, I think, out of Yale. So long, it actually out survived the people that started the study. But in terms of happiness and really what makes somebody happy, and it's really just a core partner. It's having a core partner that you can rely on, that you can share the ups and downs of life with. And so we have a loneliness epidemic that's only getting worse in our world as we get divided and we overly celebrate the individual. And I think that's a lot of what the West does poorly, unfortunately, is overly celebrate the individual and underplay the value of the community. And there is truly very little community, which we're ultimately designed for. We are tribal creatures. We're not designed to just kind of hunt and live on our own. We're designed to be together. Two best longevity sports: tennis, which kind of makes sense. You're kind of running around and you're moving, but also golf. And it's like, wait, that doesn't really make as much sense. You're not really breaking that same sweat, but they're both highly social activities. And to move and to be social, that's what we were designed for.
Gotcha. Okay. And I'm Learning. I have to say, I am very, very grateful for this writing, even though I have not gotten through the entire book. I'll just confess.
Sure.
I did make attempts to make sure it was read for our meeting today, but uh,
Perusing it, yes. Ask away.
well, uh, there's this. I wanted to share. There was actually a. I want to get the actual phrasing of it, if you could bear with me for just a minute, because I made a post in advance of our talk today, just because.
It was it's the comfort with the internal world, and having the internal world being a place that you would want to return to.
Oh, because.
I made
Thank you for noticing.
yes.
Number one, yeah, like that that hit me, and I returning to the internal world. It's like it just even wrapping our head around what that might mean for someone who is, you know, restless and really
Yes.
struggling. Can you share a little bit?
Because we live in a world that's just constantly just filled with cheap dopamine and distractions. You
Mhm.
can literally bet on anything from your phone, whether it's sports or whether a politician is going to use a certain word in a speech. We have video games, we have doom scrolling, we have constant distractions, and it makes it so easy that we don't get comfortable with our discomforts.
Mm.
When we feel this anxiety or restlessness, we feel, a little bit of sadness or whatever it may be, we don't allow it to pass through us. We don't allow it to stay. We don't allow it. Allowing is the word, because once we allow it, we can just see it for what it is, and it can pass through, and it doesn't have to dominate our experience. And so we get into this place of, oh, this is emotionally uncomfortable. My interior world is a little uncomfortable here. Let me run away from it and distract myself. And so we don't get comfortable going to our interior world and staying in our interior world. Not that we need to hide out forever, but it should be a decent place on the inside.
Mhm. Yeah, and this what we're taught this too. You know.
And and yes, we get into a place where, the physical discomforts, the thoughts, the feelings, we get into a place of feeling as though that we have to hold all of them together as well, which is part of the failing of society and the structures that we live in, because we are really designed to hold these things together tribally with other people. Our identity wasn't coming just solely from ourselves, that we picked the right major. Our ancestors didn't have majors, they didn't have jobs, but they all worked together to be able to survive and live together. And that's what this nervous system is about. So we have this restlessness, which
Mhm.
is not bad. The restlessness is not bad. It's the nervous system doing what it's designed to do.
Mhm.
It's just in a world that keeps that restlessness turned on all the time, which is that hypervigilance that something could be wrong. And when we get uncomfortable with it, it makes it so easy to turn away, that we don't give ourselves the silence. We don't give ourselves the stillness to
Mhm.
allow ourselves to experience ourselves as human.
Now, I believe that that gets addressed more prominently in part four, where don't you talk about the.
3 and 4, you're
Okay.
learning to soften in the quiet life. Yes.
Hmm. There's some other stuff here that I really would like to just point out because you do really do bring up the part of being unseen. And oh, there was a word I read, and when I read it, I was like almost on the verge of tears.
Was it okayness?
No,
Wasn't that word?
it was feeling like a burden.
Oh, yes. Mhm.
And that you mentioned that there's a specific loneliness about feeling like a burden. And boy, oh boy, did I ever connect with that one.
Oh, I mean, so do I as a human being, 100%, because we have to put the mask of okayness, on. We have to put the mask of that we're okay. And so what if someone says, "Oh, how are you doing today?" What's the response? Fine, good. Is that really is that the truth? But since we don't have these close bonds and these close communities, despite, being surrounded by people. We don't share. I think it was Kafka that said, loneliness isn't about being alone and isolated. Loneliness is being surrounded by people but being misunderstood.
Yeah.
And
The feeling
and
unseen. Yeah. And the feeling like you can't
yeah,
actually share who you truly are in essence. What gets addressed also is that some of us are not even in touch with it to be able
no,
to share it.
because you have to self reflect. You have to sit with that silence and stillness with that, and it's much easier just to kind of keep the status quo of just moving forward with the flow. And because we get thrown into the society that we didn't create this language that we're speaking, the styles of clothes that we may be wearing, we didn't create. We're thrown into this culture, and so part of that is, we get thrown into it, and then we feel as though that we're supposed to figure all of it out by ourselves. And if we're not, oh, if we have to turn to someone, well, then we're ashamed, we're embarrassed, we're the burden,
That's,
and we're not doing something correctly.
yeah.
We're not enough.
Yeah.
But our society is built to kind of give us no finish line. It's kind of the Protestant work ethic, and there's no finish line to it. And it kind of goes back to the quote: "The richest man in the world is the man who knows he has enough."
Mm.
And our society isn't built on that. And when it says man, it's person, it's anybody, woman. But our society is a consumption society, and we have to keep the GDP going. And again, I'm not anti-capitalism. It's like I don't live in a tent in the forest or anything of the sort. But I believe that just like a car, we should have an accelerator and we should have a brake. And most people are living miserably because they're living with two accelerators and no brake. And I think that you'll find over time, the happier people around you are going to be people that are slowing down life rather than speeding it up.
I agree. I'm so moving in that direction, apart from podcasting, because you get really busy.
You can get busy, absolutely, but it's kind of like the whole AI, situation in our society where we don't know where it's going, we don't know how it's going to play out, we don't know so many different factors, but we're supposed to prepare, but we don't know what to prepare for. What should we tell the children that they should be studying? There's this existential doom and gloom, over everybody of what's going to happen, and nobody knows. Could it be a big nothing burger, or could it fundamentally change the fabric of society?
Mm.
And there's a lot of existential angst associated with that. And in our hyper vigilant brain wants to attach to that, but it's not a problem that we can solve. And definitely not a problem that we can solve in the middle of the night when we're trying to go to bed.
Oh, yes, you talked about that too. I do want to bring up the this part where the examined life, whatever the difficulty, is the one that has the best chance of being lived in a way that actually reflects what one, I put one, most deeply values.
Because when you slow it down and you begin to examine your values, those core pillars of your own life, and you realize that the thoughts and feelings, they're real, but they're not fundamentally you. That's not who you we experience our thoughts and feelings, and but that's not who we are. We have 70,000 thoughts a day. And 80% of those are just recycled from the day before. So it's just kind of a history that just kind of repeats over and over and over again. But as we examine it and we kind of sit in it, we're able to kind of find something that is most true about us. You know, what is our own personal truth about ourselves in this life? And in the book, I celebrate the small life, the quiet life. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to look good on Instagram. It doesn't have to be big. And I don't think that that gets valued enough. The slowing down to examine a life, to find your values, to find yourself, rather than looking for yourself in the reflections of different people's posts or different people's reaction or TVs or movies or whatnot. And we're constantly in a state of reaction rather than a state of reflection of who we are as individuals.
The comparison nature of things, right?
Absolutely. We want to fit in, and we want. There's a element that's part of the tribal nature of our existence is that we don't want to stand out too much. The highest weed will get the blade, and so we want to kind of belong. But sometimes we get into this. It's almost like the concept of fast fashion. It's kind of like keep it moving, next style, next thing, and then we're constantly reacting to those different elements and different drives of consumption, and we really don't stop to say, but who am I? And what is it that I derive, meaning, pleasure, and purpose? How do I help others in this world? What really means something that's significant to me?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what it is. That's why it's not a self-help book. I'm not telling you the answer is that you need to caretake the slugs in your garden. But you know what? That may be your answer. That's perfectly fine. Um, but it needs to be ultimately from you rather than signals from society.
Yeah. What pushed you in the direction of writing this book, or pulled you,
Uh,
whichever it
y-
might be?
that there isn't there's too many self-help books, and this is kind of like an anti-self-help book because it's not prescriptive in that way, and it kind of represents and embodies how I think about when I work with people. I deal with a lot of or work with a lot of people who have chronic illness, as I have chronic illness, and this is what relates to me. I know when I was sick, I was doing everything and getting caught up in the world of kind of the biohacking world. It's like, okay, what are your supplements? What's your stack? What are your peptides? What's your optimization? Wearing the uh, the Aura ring, or the Whoop band, measuring, tracking, optimizing, and it was in this push of more and more and more, and again, I'm flailing as I'm ill, and there was always something to do, and that's kind of the problem some of the time. Again, I'm not anti some of that. That's the accelerator. We need the accelerator. We need anxiety and restlessness, but we need something that's going to have it's going to oscillate. It's going to be back and forth, and it's going to be like a pendulum with our nervous system. We have a nervous system. It's sympathetic arousal. That's the fight or flight, probably, that everyone speaks of. But then there's also the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest. And it's not about living in one or the other. It's about oscillating between those. And it's not about a particular landing spot, but it is me saying, hey, everybody, And there's a brake here. There's a brake like a car that we can slow things down by doing less, by thinking less, by being present to what it is. And I think, it's funny because I can hear birds outside right now, which kind of just reminds me of, what I write about in terms of nature. And what I love about nature is that it never pretends to be anything. The
Mhm.
forest or the waves, they don't pretend to be anything. They just are. But we don't allow that for ourselves because we are too self aware and we're too optimizing, and we don't allow ourselves the stillness to be who we are as Homo sapiens.
That pretending takes energy, as you mentioned.
It does, and it steals away from our authenticity. We kind of, will fit in, and there's a time and place. If I'm leaving the house today, I'm putting pants on.
Let's hope, eh?
I'm going to play some of the rules of society, and I'm going to stop at all the stoplights. There's value to all these different things. There's value to certain order, but you should be aware of, and be aware of what is culture, what is society, how we are domesticated, and what is true about you. We can hold both those things at the same time. Um, it's just that sometimes we basically have too much awareness of culture and society through technology, the computers and the phones and all of that, that we get lost in that, where we don't have the same stillness and boredom so that we can find ourselves.
Yeah, coming back to self, back to that, which was the key to my curiosity in all of this was the really treating my inner life as a place worth returning to. Yeah.
Yes, and you have to you it, to have it as a place that, and this is a big word that has to be practiced on a regular basis, that it is safe within those. Every part, every feeling is safe within there, even though if some of those things may not feel safe. You may feel anxiety, or you may feel pain. I have chronic pain right now. I have chronic pain in two spots in my body right now, but I know that they're perfectly safe for me to experience. And it's perfectly safe for me to have the conversation with a stranger that I'm having right now. And the more that we sit with ourselves and the more that we marinate ourselves with safety. And the toughest part is, welcoming in those uncomfortable pieces, because that's who we are. It's, let's just say anxiety. I always say, welcome the anxiety. And someone will say, why would I do that? I want to push it away. I don't want it. It feels terrible. It's kind of like, one, you can't push it away. It's literally coded into you. It's only happening within your skin. It's not like someone's attacking you from the outside. It's a danger alarm from the inside, and it's all you. The racing heart, the adrenaline, the tightness in your chest or your throat, the racing thoughts. It's all you. And so you're trying to cut out a part of you. And we don't want to cut out parts of you. We want to draw this life and use all the crayons in the crayon box. We're not trying to get rid of crayons here, even if they're uncomfortable. And the more that we have a good relationship to those uncomfortable parts, well, that's going to lead to a more comfortable existence as that internal space. And that's what always kind of drives people away, is that they kind of move towards it, discomfort, and rather than working on the relationship to that, they run away from it. And they never learn to really have a relationship, let alone a safe relationship with those uncomfortable feelings.
You definitely have some tools for us, and I'm going to look forward to having more conversation with you as time goes on because I think this was a wonderful conversation. I really don't want it to end, but it must. And I would like very
I
much.
understand it.
I would like very much if you would please let people know the best way to reach you. I know we got your website and your podcast, and we'd
That is
love.
the best way because I have a contact form through there. And if someone would just want to talk to me about this existential loneliness, restlessness, disconnection, it can come from illness, it can come from financial stress, isolation, whatever it may be. You can reach me at doctor as DRBONE dot live, LIVE.
Thank you very much for your time today. I really, really appreciate that you took the time to write and produce everything that you are to contribute to the betterment of all of this for all of us.
I like to share. My podcasts, my books or my posts or any of those things. They're all just kind of like flares that I send up, and to be able to connect to people, and that's what I'm always trying to do, because I do believe in solidarity. I do believe that life is a group project, and that we're all just walking each other home.
Oh, that's beautiful. I do too. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.